Hello everyone, welcome back to Old Trafford Daily. No delay, let's get started. Inside the very first minute of Manchester United's clash with Arsenal, a new era seemed to take shape. Bryan Mbeumo, freshly signed from Brentford and making his Premier League debut in United Red, announced himself in the most emphatic fashion. When a high, looping clearance fell awkwardly in his own half, Mbeumo showed composure and intelligence, cushioning the ball under control before instantly shifting gears. Within seconds, he had surged deep into Arsenal territory, leaving white shirts scrambling to recover as Old Trafford roared with approval. That moment was no accident. It was a statement of intent, an illustration of why Ruben Amorim had pushed to bring Mbeumo in, and how the Portuguese manager envisions his Manchester United attack evolving. Moments later, Mbeumo was at it again, peeling off into space and darting onto a perfectly weighted Bruno Fernandes through ball. He bore down on goal, testing David Raya with a shot that stung the goalkeeper's gloves. It set the tone for an afternoon where Manchester United looked like a side rediscovering a long-lost identity. For the first time in years, arguably a decade, they dominated possession against one of the Premier League's elite, Arsenal. Yet it was not sterile control. United looked dynamic, fluid, and most importantly, dangerous. When they attacked quickly and directly, they were devastating. Matheus Cunha, another of Amorim'S recruits, contributed to that energy, but it was Mbeumo who emerged as the heartbeat of this transformed front line. A shift in emphasis. Last season, Manchester United's attack leaned heavily towards the left-hand side. With Marcus Rashford and Luke Shaw often combining, the team's play became predictable, funneling attacks in one direction. That imbalance allowed opponents to plan accordingly, shutting off United's most obvious threat. Against Arsenal, however, the picture looked completely different. The emphasis shifted to the right, where Mbeumo operated tirelessly. He was United's outlet, the player his teammates sought at every opportunity. The data told the story. He finished the game with more shots than any other player, led the rankings for touches inside Arsenal's penalty area, and topped the dribbles chart. Yet statistics only scratched the surface of his impact. What truly defined his performance was his relentless movement. Mbeumo thrives on runs that stretch defences. At Brentford last season, he made more attacking runs than any other player in the Premier League, a testament to his stamina, intelligence, and willingness to commit to the hard yards. On his United debut, he picked up where he left off, once again leading the division in attacking runs over the course of the weekend. 30 runs into advanced positions in his very first appearance for United underlined exactly what he brings to this team. To put that into perspective, only 5 Manchester United performances across the entirety of last season produced more attacking runs from an individual player. In just one game, Mbeumo had already elevated the team's running power, giving Amorim a tool that United previously lacked. Amorim'S tactical balance. Since arriving at Old Trafford, Ruben Amorim has spoken consistently about control. He believes that Manchester United for too long have been reactive rather than proactive, often surrendering possession and struggling to dictate the tempo of games. His vision is of a team that dominates the ball, pins opponents back, and suffocates them with structured, intelligent pressing. Yet Amorim is also pragmatic. He recognizes that in the Premier League, where transitions can decide matches, a side must also be lethal on the break. This is where Mbeumo's role becomes invaluable. By marrying Amorim's desire for possession with a counter-attacking weapon like Mbeumo, United suddenly look capable of attacking in multiple ways. Against Arsenal, United registered 4 direct attacks and 3 fast breaks. That combined total was bettered only by Liverpool and Bournemouth across the entire opening weekend of the Premier League season. For context, United averaged far fewer such moments under Amorim last year. The contrast was stark. With Mbeumo in the side, they now have the capacity to spring forward at speed, punishing teams who dare to leave space in behind. The Arsenal test. Of course, numbers alone do not capture the sense of menace that Mbeumo carried. Time and again, Arsenal defenders looked unsettled by his constant darting runs into channels. He dragged full-backs out of position, stretched centre-halves, and created openings for teammates. Rashford, starting on the opposite flank, suddenly found himself with more room to manoeuvre. Cunha, operating centrally, benefited from the distraction Mbeumo provided, as Arsenal's backline was pulled wider than it would have liked. Mbeumo's versatility also stood out. At Brentford, he was often deployed as part of a front two, using his pace to exploit spaces alongside Ivan Toney. At United, Amorim asked him to operate in a slightly wider role, combining traditional wing play with inverted runs into central areas. He adapted seamlessly, showing intelligence in knowing when to hug the touchline and when to cut inside. What made him particularly dangerous was his ability to stay sharp deep into the game. Some players fade after a bright start, especially when making their debut at a club of United's stature. Not Mbeumo. His energy levels barely dipped. Whether it was the 20th minute or the 90th, he was still pressing, still running, still dragging Arsenal's defenders into uncomfortable areas, building the ruthless edge. And yet, despite the excitement and the promise, one issue lingered. United could not make their chances count. Mbeumo came close, Cunha too, while Fernandes and Rashford both had opportunities. The performance was encouraging, but the final product, goals, was missing. This, Amorim acknowledged post-match, is the next hurdle. "We created the situations," he said, "but in football, you must finish them. That is the difference at the very top." United's 4 direct attacks and 3 fast breaks showed progress, but none of those moves resulted in a decisive goal. The next test, therefore, comes in turning this running power and attacking fluency into goals. Fulham away at Craven Cottage provides the immediate opportunity. Amorim will want his team to show that they can not only unsettle opponents, but also punish them ruthlessly. Mbeumo, for all his brilliance, will be judged ultimately on goals and assists. The signs are already there, though, that he can deliver. A glimpse of the future. What is striking about Mbeumo's debut is how it hints at what United could become under Amorim. For years, the team has felt fragmented, lacking a clear attacking identity. Some games they looked overly cautious, others too reckless. Balance has been elusive. But with Mbeumo, a new dimension has emerged, one built on intensity, directness, and unpredictability. Fans inside Old Trafford sensed it too. Every time Mbeumo picked up the ball, anticipation surged through the stands. Supporters have longed for a player who can marry hard work with flair, someone willing to run until the final whistle, but also capable of producing moments of quality. In Mbeumo, they may have found that blend. Crucially, his arrival also alleviates some of the burden on Rashford. No longer is United's attack funneled through one man. Opponents now have to account for dual threats on both flanks, making United far less predictable. Add Cunha's movement, Fernandes' creativity, and Amorim's structured possession game, and suddenly the attack looks balanced, varied, and dangerous. The road ahead. Of course, one game does not define a season. Mbeumo's energy and movement were exceptional, but Premier League campaigns are long and unforgiving. Opponents will study his patterns, look to nullify his runs, and test his consistency. The challenge for Mbeumo is to maintain these standards across months, not just weeks. For Amorim, the task is to keep evolving the team. Possession and control remain central pillars of his philosophy, but now he has a weapon in transitions. Balancing both will be crucial if United are to mount a genuine challenge domestically and in Europe. Still, there is no escaping the fact that Manchester United look different, better, with Bryan and Mbeumo in the side. His debut showcased qualities that the team has lacked for years: relentless running power, intelligent movement, and a fearless willingness to attack space. Against Arsenal, United may not have taken all 3 points, but they discovered something arguably more important: the blueprint for their future. With Mbeumo at the heart of it, Amorim's Manchester United have glimpsed what they can become. A team capable of controlling games while remaining devastating in transition. A team that finally looks ready to mix it with the very best. And for the Old Trafford faithful, that glimpse was enough to spark hope that a genuine transformation is underway.